Stop waiting for validation. Because every time you pause your progress to seek approval, you surrender a piece of your purpose to someone who was never assigned to understand it. You weaken your momentum by attaching your confidence to opinions that shift as quickly as the wind. The truth is, most people are too consumed with their own struggles, their own insecurities, and their own responsibilities to fully grasp the vision that keeps you awake at night. And if you keep slowing down to convince them, you will never reach the places you were meant to go. Your calling is not a community project. It's a personal responsibility that requires self-belief long before anyone else recognizes its value. Stop waiting for validation, because greatness rarely looks impressive at the beginning. In the early stages, your progress feels invisible, your effort feels unnoticed, and your dedication feels unrewarded. That's exactly why so many people quit. They think the lack of applause means a lack of potential. But everything powerful starts quietly. Seeds grow underground before they break the surface. Foundations form before the building rises, and champions train in silence before they dominate in public. If you expect applause too early, you will abandon your process before it has a chance to reveal its power. Stop waiting for validation, because every moment you spend questioning whether you're enough is a moment you could have used to become more. Doubt is a thief that steals time, energy, and passion. It convinces you to analyze instead of act, to hesitate instead of build, to rehearse failure instead of pursue success. The people you admire today didn't rise because told them they were worthy. They rose because they decided to keep going, even when no one affirmed them. They chose conviction over insecurity, progress over perfection, and movement over approval. Stop waiting for validation, because you cannot lead your life while depending on others to guide your confidence. External validation is unstable. It shifts based on people's moods, expectations, and personal limitations. One day they'll celebrate you, and the next day they'll doubt you. If your identity rises and falls with the opinions of others, you will never stand strong enough to build anything lasting. Strength comes from knowing who you are, even before you become who you're trying to be. Stop waiting for validation, because your vision was meant for you, not for everyone else. People can't comprehend what they were not designed to carry. They may not understand your hunger because they're not the ones feeling it. They may not support your sacrifice because they're not the ones required to make it. They may not see your future because they're not the ones destined to live it. Expecting them to validate your journey is asking them to approve a destination they've never seen. Stop waiting for validation, because the longer you wait, the more you train your mind to believe you need permission to pursue your purpose. Every time you pause for someone's approval, you reinforce the idea that their opinion is more powerful than your own conviction. That habit becomes a cage, and soon you stop moving unless someone cheers for you. But freedom comes when you decide that your belief is enough, your effort is enough, your vision is enough, and you don't need anyone else to qualify what you've already been called to do. Stop waiting for validation, because the world only applauds results, not attempts. Right now, they may not see your effort, your discipline, or your sacrifice, but one day they will see the outcome. People often ignore you until your success forces them to pay attention. Your job is not to impress them along the way. Your job is to build something undeniable. When your work speaks, you won't have to. But if you keep delaying your work waiting for approval, you delay the very achievements that would earn it. Stop waiting for validation, because it keeps you trapped in cycles of comparison that drain your energy. When you constantly seek approval, you automatically measure yourself against others. You start judging your progress based on their expectations instead of your own standards. That mindset makes you chase their definition of success rather than building your own. Comparison is the enemy of clarity, and clarity is necessary for growth. The more you look at them, the less you see what you're capable of becoming. Stop waiting for validation, because confidence is a muscle that grows only when you use it. You cannot build inner strength by outsourcing your certainty to others. The moments when no one believes in you are the moments that train you to believe in yourself. The silence of support is not a sign to quit. It is an invitation to trust your own voice. Every step you take without applause strengthens your resilience, sharpens your focus, and prepares you for the doors your destiny will eventually open. Stop waiting for validation, because your future requires a version of you that stands firm, acts boldly, and moves forward without hesitation. You cannot afford to wait for the world to agree with you before you start becoming who you were meant to be. Every day you delay is another day your potential sits unused, your purpose goes unexplored, and your greatness remains unseen. When you stop seeking approval, you start creating momentum. And when you start creating momentum, you become unstoppable. Ownership creates transformation because the moment you decide that your life is your responsibility, everything around you begins to shift. You stop blaming circumstances and start building solutions. You stop pointing at people and start looking in the mirror. Ownership is the turning point where excuses lose their power and accountability becomes the foundation of your growth. When you claim responsibility for your choices, your habits, and your direction, you step into a level of authority that gives you control over your future. Ownership creates transformation because it forces you to confront what you've been avoiding. It demands honesty about the patterns holding you back, the decisions that keep you stuck, and the behaviors that sabotage your progress. You can't change what you won't acknowledge, and you can't improve what you refuse to see. When you own your flaws, they no longer control you. When you own your weaknesses, they become areas you can strengthen. When you own your situation, you give yourself permission to rise above it. Ownership creates transformation because it shifts your mindset from waiting to working. Instead of hoping for the right moment, you start creating it. Instead of wishing for opportunities, you start preparing for them. Instead of expecting someone else to fix what's broken, you take the tools into your own hands and begin rebuilding. Transformation doesn't happen when conditions are perfect. It happens when you stop depending on conditions and start depending on your effort, your discipline, and your decisions. Ownership creates transformation because it frees you from the illusion that someone else is responsible for your happiness, your success, or your destiny. When you rely on others to make you feel supported or motivated, you give them the power to control your momentum. But when you take ownership, you reclaim your authority. You recognize that your growth, your breakthroughs, and your progress are a result of your commitment, not anyone LSE's effort. That freedom empowers you to take bold steps forward. Ownership creates transformation because it turns pain into purpose. When something goes wrong, people often look for someone to blame, but ownership teaches you to look for lessons instead. The setbacks that once discouraged you become the experiences that sharpen you. The disappointments that once defeated you become the wisdom that guides you. When you choose to take responsibility, even in difficult moments, you convert adversity into fuel for your evolution. Ownership creates transformation because it aligns your actions with your goals. Once you decide that your life is in your hands, you start making choices that reflect where you want to go rather than where you've been. You stop entertaining distractions that drain your potential and start embracing habits that strengthen your future. Every decision becomes intentional. Every step becomes purposeful, and every day becomes an opportunity to honor the vision you're working toward. Ownership creates transformation because it shifts your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as the architect of your life. You recognize that you are not stuck. You simply have decisions to make. You are not powerless. You simply have strengths you haven't fully activated. When your identity shifts, your behavior shifts, and when your behavior shifts, your entire life begins to follow. Ownership creates transformation because it builds internal discipline. Once you accept responsibility, you understand that no one is coming to save you, motivate you, or force you to grow. That realization pushes you to develop habits that keep you consistent, even when motivation fades. Ownership strengthens your ability to follow through, show up, and push yourself beyond limitations that once controlled you. Discipline owns your ally, and progress becomes your evidence. Ownership creates transformation because it multiplies your capacity. When you take responsibility for your growth, you start unlocking abilities, strengths, and levels of resilience you didn't know you had. You begin to discover that you are capable of far more than you ever allowed yourself to believe. Challenges that once intimidated you become opportunities for development, and goals that once felt distant become attainable because you are willing to put in the work required to reach them. Ownership creates transformation because it places you in alignment with the future you are trying to build. You stop drifting and start directing. You stop surviving and start strategizing. You stop wishing and start working. The version of you that you're becoming requires responsibility, maturity, and intentionality. When you embrace ownership, you step into the mindset, the habits, and the strength necessary to evolve into that version of yourself. Execution matters more than intention because ideas alone don't create change, progress, or results. You can dream about your goals all day. You can talk about what you want to become, and you can plan every step with precision, but none of it matters until you act. Intention is the spark, but execution is the fire. Execution is what turns possibility into reality. And without it, even the greatest vision fades into unrealized potential. Every step you take in action carries more weight than 1,000 promises you make to yourself but never follow through. Execution matters more than intention because the world rewards what you do, not what you meant to do. People don't remember the plans you never started or the commitments you didn't keep. They remember the outcomes you produced, the consistency you displayed, and the discipline you maintained. Intention might inspire you in the moment, but execution is what builds your identity. Every time you execute, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, responsible, and determined. Every time you fail to act, you strengthen doubt, hesitation, and procrastination. Execution matters more than intention because clarity grows when you move, not when you stay still. You may not know every step, you may not have the entire path figured out, and you may not feel ready, but progress comes from doing, learning, and adjusting. Action creates feedback, and feedback creates direction. Waiting for perfect conditions only delays your growth, but execution, even in imperfect circumstances, pushes you closer to the person you're trying to become. Motion breeds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Execution matters more than intention because effort compounds. The small actions you take daily, the consistent habits you practice, and the decisions you make repeatedly begin to build a foundation that intention alone could never create. Every day you choose to execute, even when you don't feel like it, you stack progress. And over time, that progress becomes undeniable. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable because you have been quietly building the strength to reach it through action, not imagination. Execution matters more than intention because action separates dreamers from doers. Everyone has aspirations, passions, and plans, but only a few will take the steps necessary to bring them to life. Many people talk about what they want. Few are willing to endure the discipline required. Execution is where commitment is proven. It's easy to say you want success, but execution demands sacrifice, focus, and consistency. It requires you to show up even when motivation fades. The ones who rise are the ones who act. Execution matters more than intention because discipline grows through repetition. Why? Don't become disciplined by thinking about discipline. You become disciplined by practicing it. Execution forces you to push through resistance, overcome hesitation, and train your mind to move even when emotions pull you backward. Over time, this practice builds a mental toughness that intention alone could never produce. You begin to rely less on inspiration and more on your ability to follow through, no matter how you feel. Execution matters more than intention because the action reveals your true priorities. You can say something matters to you, but what you consistently do exposes what you truly value. If your actions contradict your intentions, then your intentions are just wishes. But when your execution aligns with your goals, you begin to live with integrity. You start creating a life where your behavior matches your vision, and that alignment unlocks a deeper sense of purpose and confidence. Execution matters more than intention because results come only to those who act. Your future won't be shaped by what you hope for, it will be shaped by what you worked for. The goals you achieve won't come from dreaming, they will come from discipline. The breakthroughs you desire won't come from planning, they will come from persistence. Execution is the bridge that carries you from the life you imagine to the life you build. And without that bridge, your dreams remain distant. Execution matters more than intention because every action you take moves you closer to mastery. Skills develop through practice, not thought. Strength is built through effort, not desire. Growth comes from doing the hard work repeatedly, not from wishing it were easier. When you execute, you evolve. When you take action, you sharpen your abilities. Execution forces you to stretch, adapt, and improve in ways intention cannot. It pushes you into the arena where real transformation happens. Execution matters more than intention because your destiny depends on what you do next, not what you planned, not what you hoped, not what you told others you would do. Your next step, your next decision, your next action. These are the building blocks of your future. Every moment you delay action is a moment you delay progress, but every moment you execute is a moment you reclaim power over your life. Discipline separates you from the crowd because most people are driven by how they feel, while disciplined people are driven by what they're committed to. The majority wait for motivation, wait for the right moment, wait for inspiration to strike before they take a step. But discipline ignores the mood and focuses on the mission. When you choose discipline, you rise above the noise of excuses and enter a level of consistency that very few are willing to experience. It becomes the force that propels you forward when comfort tries to pull you back. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it demands that you show up even when the excitement fades. Anyone can be committed when the goal is new and the energy is high. But discipline is proven on the days you don't want to get up early, don't feel like pushing yourself, and don't have the enthusiasm you had at the beginning. Those are the days that shape your future. Those are the days that build the version of you capable of carrying your dreams. Discipline becomes the backbone of your success because it keeps you moving when emotion tells you to stop. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it requires sacrifice. While others choose shortcuts, you choose structure. While others chase comfort, you chase growth. While others complain about the work, you commit to the work. Every sacrifice you make sharpens you. Every choice you make to delay gratification strengthens you. Discipline turns temporary discomfort to long-term advantages, creating a separation that becomes more obvious with every decision you refuse to compromise on. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it builds momentum that others cannot understand. When you show up day after day, even in small ways, you begin to create a rhythm of progress. That rhythm becomes a flow, and that flow becomes a force. People may wonder how you continue moving forward when nothing dramatic seems to be happening, but what they don't see is that discipline is stacking small victories behind the scenes. And those small victories compound into breakthroughs that look sudden but were built through months or years of consistent effort. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it strengthens your character. It pushes you to become someone who doesn't crumble under pressure or quit when challenges appear. Discipline teaches you patience, resilience, and self-control. It helps you develop the ability to delay gratification, to stay focused when life gets loud, and to persevere when circumstances become difficult. Character is not built in moments of ease. It is shaped in moments of discipline. When you choose to honor your commitments, even when no one is watching. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it aligns your habits with your goals. It transforms your daily actions into stepping stones toward your future. Instead of reacting to life, you begin directing it. Instead of drifting, you start deciding. Instead of living on autopilot, you live with intention. Discipline ensures that what you do behind closed doors reflects what you want to experience in your life. It closes the gap between where you are and where you want to be by making your habits compatible with your vision. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it creates reliability. People who operate through discipline can be counted on. They follow through, they keep their word, they complete what they start. In a world full of inconsistency, reliability is rare, and rare qualities always stand out. When people know you as someone who honors commitments and delivers results, opportunities begin to find you. Your consistency becomes your credibility, and your credibility becomes your advantage. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it eliminates excuses. When you commit to discipline, you no longer allow circumstances, emotions, or obstacles to dictate your behavior. You stop giving yourself permission to quit, postpone, or lower your standards. You hold yourself to a higher level of accountability because you understand that your goals require responsibility, not rationalization. Excuses lose their power when discipline is in control, and without excuses, your path becomes clearer and your progress becomes faster. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it makes you unstoppable. When you train yourself to act regardless of how you feel, you become someone who can push through resistance, navigate setbacks, and rise above distractions. Discipline turns your goals into non-negotiables. It gives you the strength to persist when others fold under pressure. It cultivates a mindset that refuses to settle for mediocrity and continuously pushes toward improvement. This mindset becomes the edge that others cannot replicate because it requires a level of commitment most people are unwilling to embrace. Discipline separates you from the crowd because it transforms your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. You stop identifying with your weaknesses and start identifying with your standards. Every disciplined decision reinforces a new self-image, one that is built on consistency, strength, and responsibility. Over time, this identity becomes the driving force behind your growth, guiding your actions and shaping the life you are building. Your dream is your duty because you were given that vision for a reason, and no one else can carry it the way you can. The ideas that keep you awake at night, the goals that pull at your spirit, the future you imagine when no one is around, those aren't random fantasies. They are assignments placed on your life. When you ignore them, you're not just delaying success, you're neglecting a responsibility that only you were designed to fulfill. Your dream is not a hobby to entertain when life gets easy. It is a calling that requires your commitment, your effort, and your belief. Your dream is your duty because no one is coming to live it for you. People may support you, encourage you, or inspire you, but they cannot walk your path. They cannot endure the sacrifices your dream demands, and they cannot carry the weight of what you've been entrusted with. Waiting for someone else to push you is the fastest way to watch your potential fall asleep. When you understand that your dream is your responsibility, you stop expecting a rescue and start becoming your own source of momentum. Your dream is your duty because it will change not only your life, but the lives of the people connected to your purpose. Every decision you make, every risk you take, every step you commit to has a power to influence your family, your community, and generations yet to come. Dreams are not personal, they are generational. When you rise, others rise. When you grow, others benefit. When you choose to play small, the world loses the impact you were meant to create. Your dream is your duty because it will not manifest without effort. You can pray for it, plan for it, and talk about it, but until you commit to the work, it will remain an idea instead of a reality. Dreams require SW. Eat, patience, resilience, and courage. They demand late nights, early mornings, uncomfortable conversations, and unwavering discipline. The bigger the dream, the greater the responsibility. If you want to live what you've envisioned, you must honor the process required to build it. Your dream is your duty because every challenge you face is a part of your preparation. The obstacles in your path aren't signs to quit. They are opportunities to grow into the person capable of handling what you're asking for. Every setback strengthens your resolve. Every failure sharpens your wisdom. Every delay develops your character. When you understand that your dream is your assignment, you see challenges not as roadblocks, but as training grounds molding you for the future you're destined to lead. Your dream is your duty because it shapes your identity. The pursuit of your dream forces you to rise above fear, insecurity, and doubt. It pushes you to discover strengths you didn't know you had and traits you didn't know you needed. As you pursue your dream, you become someone more disciplined, more focused, more resilient, and more self-aware. The journey transforms you into the version of yourself you were always meant to become. One courageous decision at a time. Your dream is your duty because it gives your life direction. Without a dream, you drift. Without a dream, you settle. Without a dream, you lose your sense of purpose. When you embrace your dream as a responsibility, you wake up with intention. You live with clarity. You make decisions that align with your vision instead of reacting to whatever life throws at you. Your dream becomes the compass guiding your actions, your habits, and your mindset. Your dream is your duty because no one else will value it as deeply as you do. Others may doubt it, misunderstand it, or ignore it entirely, but that doesn't lessen its importance. You cannot expect others to carry the passion you feel inside. You cannot depend on their belief to fuel your progress. Your dream is sacred, and protecting it is your obligation. When you treat your dream like a responsibility instead of an option, you stop letting external opinions interfere with internal conviction. Your dream is your duty because greatness demands ownership. You cannot pass your dream to someone else and expect it to flourish. You cannot outsource your purpose and expect it to thrive. Dreams grow under the care of the one who carries them. When you take full responsibility for your dream, you become intentional about learning, improving, investing, and preparing. You become the gardener of your future, cultivating it with discipline and vision. Your dream is your duty because it represents the highest version of who you are meant to be. It stretches you beyond your limits, challenges your comfort zones, and pulls you into expansion. It forces you to confront your fears and rise above the limitations you once accepted. Your dream isn't just about achieving something, it's about becoming someone. And when you treat your dream as a duty, you step into the calling, the strength, and the purpose that were placed within you from the beginning. Results speak louder than words because the world pays attention to what you accomplish, not what you promise. People may listen to your plans, your ambitions, and your declarations for a moment, but what truly earns respect is what you consistently produce. Results cut through noise, excuses, and opinions. They silence doubt, override criticism, and shift conversations. When your work begins to show, you no longer need to convince anyone of your potential. Your progress becomes your proof. Results speak louder than words because outcomes reveal the truth about effort. You can talk about how hard your grin, ding, how focused you are, or how badly you want something, but the results you generate will always expose your level of commitment. They reflect the quality of your discipline, the strength of your habits, and the seriousness of your intentions. Results don't lie. They mirror the work you put in, the sacrifices you made, and the consistency you practiced even when no one was watching. Results speak louder than words because they create credibility that talk can never match. Anyone can talk about goals, but few possess the discipline to follow through. Once you start producing results, people begin to trust your ability, respect your dedication, and believe in your vision. Credibility is earned through action. When others see what you've built, they recognize the weight of your work and begin to view you differently. You go from someone with ideas to someone with evidence. Results speak louder than words because they elevate your influence. People don't follow those who simply talk about what could be. They follow those who demonstrate what is possible. When you produce results, you naturally stand out. You inspire without trying, lead without announcing, and motivate without speaking. Others begin to look at your journey as a blueprint because your actions have proven that success is attainable. Your results become a silent teacher that speaks to anyone who witnesses them. Results speak louder than words because they shift your own identity. When you start seeing the impact of your efforts, you begin to trust yourself on a deeper level. You stop questioning your ability and start recognizing your capability. Every result becomes a reminder of what you are capable of achieving through discipline and persistence. Results reinforce belief, strengthen confidence, and push you to raise your standards because you've experienced firsthand what happens when you commit. Results speak louder than words because they turn dreams into measurable progress. You may have a vision for your life, but until that vision materializes through consistent action, it remains a dream. Results transform imagination into reality. They show you that what you once thought was far away is now within reach because of the steps you took. Every small result is evidence that your dream is moving from unseen to undeniable, from abstract to achievable. Results speak louder than words because they attract opportunities. People rarely gamble on potential, but they invest in proof. When your results become visible, doors that once felt locked begin to open. Connections become easier to form, partnerships become more accessible, and resources begin to appear. You don't have to chase validation because your work draws the right attention. Results speak on your behalf in rooms you haven't entered yet. Results speak louder than words because they silence doubt, both your own doubt and the doubt of others. When you start seeing progress, your inner voice grows quieter. The fears that once felt overwhelming begin to shrink because you now have tangible evidence of your ability to rise. And those who questioned your path, underestimated your effort, or overlooked your potential begin to reconsider their assumptions because your results demand acknowledgement. Results speak louder than words because they create momentum. Once you see what your effort produces, you naturally want to do more. progress becomes addictive. The smallest achievement fuels the desire for bigger ones. Each milestone strengthens your focus and deepens your commitment. The more you achieve, the more unstoppable you become, because your confidence is built on what you've done, not what you've said. Results speak louder than words because they become your legacy. Long after the conversations fade, long after the critics disappear, and long after the challenges pass, what remains is what you built. Your results outlive your explanations, your struggles, and your temporary emotions. They stand as permanent proof of your discipline, your resilience, and your decision to keep going.